Welcome everybody for the first video of the year, last of the year. Anyway, my name is Paul Dosky, and with me is my shadow of a fiance,
Tessa Baker. I'm just hanging out here in the shadows.
Yeah, we would show you our lovely background, but you guys don't want to see it. It's too messy. It's not as gorgeous looking at Jonathan here. So,
with all of his lovely art.
Yeah, I think that's more appealing to the eye.
Yeah, we're working on some cleaning over here.
Yeah, maybe if I could like turn the desk around and then we could see like the goodness of the horror art that we have hanging up in the wall that's like right above me. But other than that, yeah, no, nobody wants to see what's behind us. Anyway, enough about us. We're here to talk about the man here, Jonathan Phelps. And Jonathan, it's finally a pleasure to get you on board here.
Yeah, this is fun. I'm excited to do this. So you guys saw that. Okay, so I made a movie. We made a movie like 17 years ago. It was one of the first things I had done with my brothers, who are also filmmakers, and the production company that they kind of started, and my production company. I post it on like my Facebook because it's a holiday, horror film. It's a short, holiday horror film, and you've been into my shop. I'm in my shop right now. Esoteric, occult, curiosity shop, bookstore. And so we're already connected, and you see the movie and you're like, can we do the podcast for, everything horror? And I'm like, well, sure. That'll be fun. I mean, this movie is old. I mean, but it's also really fun and funny. And I mean, like I was saying to you, I just watched it for the first time in maybe a couple years after posting it, and I laughed pretty much the whole time it was going. So it must be doing something right.
No, you're definitely doing something right. And speaking of like that notification that just hit, oh yep, I did have it. Okay, good. I'm just making sure my phone is also on mute, so that way nobody can try to bug me. Anyway. Yeah, John, no, it's like, I think we first met from your shop for sure. And then you for Ghost Books, for people wondering, Ghost Books. And then you were talking to me about your other movie that we are somewhat going to be talking about a little bit of, but Lake Nowhere.
Yeah.
And then that's how we connected. And then, yeah, and then exactly like what you said, you posted it on your personal Facebook about a zombie Christmas Carol, and then I was like, I gotta see this. So we had to watch it and are laughing through it too, because it's so good. It's so good and like hilarious, and just all the nice blood squirting is just where it's at. I think.
Yeah, totally. And I'm gonna actually ask you about that too, because I'm kind of curious as to how much blood you guys went through.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, we did. I mean, we did not hold back, and we made buckets and buckets and buckets of the stuff. And I mean, the whole gag, aside from the fact that like the ominous Christmas carolers coming at you, singing these songs as kind of like a horrific element was, part of the gag, but also this never ending kind of blood spray, the red and green zombie blood, Merry fucking Christmas kind of, and also that being so satirical in its own way, because you're glorifying Christmas, which is what, our culture has kind of done at this point, but doing it in a fun, and kind of manically crazy way. But, I guess, yeah, maybe it's my notifications that are going off. I don't know. But anyway, like, I have no idea how much blood we made. I mean, it was, we were doing, we would do like the 5-gallon buckets at a time. And we definitely went through quite a bit of that. And, we did it in the winter. So it was a trying thing. Just bring it, like to some degree. I mean, we were basically freezing kids to the streets. I mean, okay. This is my website. Cool. Yeah. Zombies Christmas Carol. Now this is the cover that my brother Christopher, who is one of the co-directors, put together. And then you can see the little art on the side there. So basically, when we first put the DVD together, when we first put the DVD together, we put little, we put like the artwork sleeve. We had like my brother Steven, my brother Christopher, and myself, we all made little cards of art. So here's one of the zombies killing, somebody in the street, and the blood is spraying. And so we made a whole bunch of these, and we made the DVDs, and the DVD. And of course, here's the red and green street. And this is, I think, a picture take. Well, no, that's not actually the snow, but that is basically what our street looked like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it did. So good.
So,
man.
and then I also did like the music. I did me and like the band I was working with did the music. So you like at the end,
the Army.
yeah. I mean, that was kind of just like we never really. We were doing a lot of experimental stuff at the time. So I put the music together, and you hear my voice at the end singing the kind of like nursery rhyme carol and stuff, which is cool. I mean, the whole movie is me and us banging that drum, which is the movie, which is just this almost visceral roller coaster ride of red and green zombie blood madness. Merry Christmas, so but that's why it's funny and fun. And it was, I had just graduated from film school and getting together with the brothers and and a lot of their friends and my friends getting together and making the thing. And just, I think we did the whole thing in just but a couple weeks or so. There may have been a break in there, but yeah. And that, and as far, and then Christopher, I think Christopher and Max Van Scoy co-directed Lake Nowhere, and I did the on-set special effects for Lake Nowhere, which was was a much more recent production. I also did post-effect work to make it look like an old, a dirty kind of like old film.
Oh, grungy, yeah. Yeah.
It has kind of like it's as if it was made in 1983. There was also like a beer commercial and other trailers put before the film. So it has this whole kind of
nostalgia type of almost like a theater thing. Like you see the trailer before, or you see the trailer before the actual movie or something.
It's very grindhouse style. And also, yeah, it gives you the entire experience, film experience from that time. And I do a lot of other kind of stuff. And we don't just do horror films. In fact, like I was trying, I don't know if I can bring this up, but like this year I produced a hand-drawn animated fairy tale based on an old Germanic fairy tale. I guess, how does this thing work? Okay, so here's the it's actually a work in process poster. And I worked with three other artists, Joel Barlow, Katie Walker, and Casey Contompassis. And we had a lot of fun putting this together. And it was through Leo Kulbs, who I've worked with a couple of times. We actually premiered this in Berlin and New York City, and it's going to be released online soon. But that's something that we put together. And my brother, he directed a 15-minute long sci-fi short epic where we built, and I was the art director. My other brother, Steven, was the production designer, but we built an entire miniature dystopian city with 35 plus buildings, miniature building, puppeted cars with headlights. And we built like a spaceship miniature, and we built a spaceship life-size cockpit, which our actors could get in. So that's like totally high concept. And like I've done a bunch of hand-drawn animated pieces, like Pond Aquarius. There was one band I was touring with years ago called the Mathematicians, and I put together a movie called Mathematicians: Transdimensional Odyssey of Doom, and that basically has our live shows, or I was doing visuals behind the band. And then there's also like a loose narrative with animation and them on their interdimensional tour. And I've done a couple other music videos that have hand-drawn animation. And we've done like stop motion, we've done puppets. I've got some like life-size sheep-like puppets that our actors could actually get on. They're hanging on the ceiling. I don't know if I should move the camera right now, but these, that project, Channel 616, had a bunch of puppets and live action kind of mixed in. So we've really just run the gambit as far as like what what does the project need and what we can get away with as far as like bringing it to life. Really, it depends on the piece. With what we might want to play around with. But yeah, Zombies Christmas Carol. I mean, that's just kind of like going to our roots, doing something that's really just from the heart, as usual, but also it's a lot of fun. And
there must have been a lot of like actors too, because like how did that even come to be? Because you had a lot of people that were portraying as either the zombies or or the people that would come out to listen to them sing.
Well, we had our key cast, so our caroler costumes and our key carolers was something that basically we had to like get down, and we were working, I guess, with like a lot of the Ravicon crew at the time. They were calling themselves Niceguys Productions, but the Ravicon, which we still work under, we have, the connections through, like, they were all like still in some of them in school. So like, working with different theater, the kids that were in the theater groups and stuff, they were able to pull people in and friends and stuff. And so it's like, they're talented in their own right, but a lot of them are just people that we knew, and we're able and we're willing to go the extra mile, especially in the sense where it's like we're out in really cold weather and we're getting wet because we're spraying water, we're spraying the fake blood, which was mostly just a water with food coloring, basically.
That must have been cold too.
So it was cool. Most of the time we kept that away, but I remember pretty, at least one of my buddies, the hose had not gone where it's supposed to. So it's just running down his back through the whole take. And he's just kind of screaming. I mean, he's really upset. And afterwards I find out that he wasn't, it wasn't acting, and the poor guy, and there was a couple other probably close calls. I mean, this is not the way to make movies, but like what the guy at the end of the film, Nolan Murphy, who's, well, I don't want to spoil it, but Santa Claus is relentlessly like chopping and he won't die kind of moment. And anyways, when he's laying on the ground pretty wet. And I think his clothes were at least frozen to the ground a little bit when we pulled him up and got him.
That Carol guy.
Yeah. The one that Santa went all like mayhem on.
Yeah. And I was really like, I think when he was laying there was a moment where he was like, shoot this now because I am freezing, we did, but like we were being a little bit that's what's going to happen when you're dealing with the elements. I mean, you're out in the cold, and that's one of the things that's amazing about the film is like there's just so many practical blood effects, and it took a lot of time just to set up every single one of those. And that's one of the things that makes it such a cool film, because it's just like, what the heck's going on, but so there you go. But yeah.
Okay, I have to ask something about one of the carolers. It was a female.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. I like being in the shadows.
Well, let's show the people that there is somebody right here too.
There is somebody right
here. We can see you. I can see you.
All right,
Anyway. So one of your female carolers was eating something. She was like chewing pieces off of it. What was that?
Okay, well, yeah, and I think it was my girlfriend at the time. But there was a few different shots where the carolers are eating stuff, and it was like, because we made all these fake bodies, so we made all,
it was like darker in the evening.
But there was meat. We took like. There was a couple different kinds of meat that we put in with so there was like ham slices and maybe some like leftover pork or something. I don't know.
We pulled like what they did with Night of the Living Dead. They were feeding their cast and crew while they were pretending to be zombies. Basically.
Well, they weren't eating that stuff though. I mean, because it's covered with fake blood and stuff, so it was like kind of gnarly, but it was like, but you want to have that moment in there, it kind of breaks up the film a little bit. But actually that is one of the other funny things about the film is like we're killing off all my friends and family, and there's something just ridiculously like funny about that. I think it's my girlfriend at the time, she gets the axe like right in the face, and we had to create like a dummy for her so that the axe.
yep.
Oh yeah, it was her.
That was, so it's just like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's therapeutic or awful, but that's
Maybe both.
that's part of the learning experience when you're making these kind of movies. So
Were you the mechanic guy under the car?
yep. Which is
Oh,
kind
and
of
I thought that was you because it was funny. Because
Yeah,
we're like looking and we're like, wait a minute, is that you?
Yep, that's my cameo. And then like I'm one of the few carolers that actually has like some kind of like special makeup effect. My eyeballs hanging out at one, and I'm when I'm a zombie. But like we didn't do too much of that stuff because it was. And then I actually did. I single-handedly went in and like I frame by frame made all the carolers' eyes kind of like white, which I don't even think looks that great, but like it wasn't easy to do because this was again like back in 2004. So I was using like Photoshop or something. I was just like breaking the film down into stills and like animating it. I can't even remember exactly the process, but it's not.
Wow.
It wasn't easy, but it's works and it's fun.
Hey, I mean, I think there was one Carol that we didn't see the white in the eye at one point, but then everybody else did. So I don't know. And that was one of my little things.
I missed one.
I think you did.
I did. I worked really hard on those eyes. You know what it is by the time I think, by the time Santa comes in, I may have just given up.
Probably. And what near
I'm like, we don't need it anymore. It's like the effect's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it was near the end. So don't worry.
I'm not sure.
I mean, either way, I mean, so it was you and your two other brothers that wrote this. So how long did it take you three to even write this?
Well, no, I mean, it really just came together. I mean, I think we were all sitting around and talking about, the idea of the zombie singing, particularly we won't go until we get some, we won't go until we get, and they're coming at you. And we're like, okay, well, that's funny. That's going to work.
Yeah.
And then, the next thing, the idea of the red and green zombie blood, like fireworks on 4th of July. I mean, that's funny. And Santa Claus taking care of business. That's funny. I mean, that's the script basically. Yeah. I mean, as far as the rest of, the loose narrative, it's like, okay, you got the kid and he's going to save the day. But I mean,
so was it more like improv? Like you let them do it?
Really? I mean, I don't know if it's, I mean, we didn't I don't think we had a script. It was more like we had it storyboarded out. We know what we wanted to shoot. But it wasn't like, I mean, there's very little dialogue in the film. As far as the lines where it's like, what is it like? Zombies are eating my parents. Like, when the kids calling the cops or something, it's like, again, it's going back a while, but I feel like it's like, it was a pulpy B movie kind of line. That's just that we handed the kid, but it's not like we really spent a lot of time figuring that stuff out. I mean, we were flying by the seat of our pants. And I think, we did not have a printed script on set. If anything, we probably put some storyboards together. And as far as like the majority of the shooting goes, we would set up the effect shots and just shoot it, make sure it looked cool. I mean, there's if anything, that would be, if anything, it would be fun. And it's like, it would be ridiculous to do, but it would be fun to put together a more, a more fleshed out script and actually make this movie nowadays, because it would still be, but it's like, we can't do that. We got to move on to other things. I feel like we already made this movie, but I mean, it is really funny. And I mean, so who knows if that's if that would be in the future or not, but.
Well, I guess you could always retweak some old project. I guess that some people nowadays, I mean, look at like what Hollywood is doing with the remakes, reboot. You could
I'm not a big fan of the remakes, reboot, but it's like one of those things where it's like, it was a lot of fun, it's like comedy, and comedy is, it's something, I mean, it's something that it's something that helps us learn. They say that like laughter is a sign of learning. And like, I think that any film, not to go into like the theoretics behind it, but I think any film and art is best when you're not like trying to like, say, this is what I got to say, but it's more like an experiment. You're directing in a way where you're like saying, well, let's go over there and see what we learn. And hopefully if we learn something, then we all enjoy it and we all learn something. And when we're having fun and we're laughing, we're inspiring each other, and we're having a good time. And that's something that is important. And so many levels. And it's funny that something like, something as ridiculous as Zombie's Christmas Carol could make even though it's a horror comedy, but at the same time, who's to say, it's like, on one side of like horror, you're like, well, could it be desensitizing, or and at the same time, like so many times horror films have such great experimental artistic qualities, as well as a hand in not being afraid to like go down some of those darker corridors so that we can learn and maybe figure that stuff out. So there's kind of an interesting double-edged sword in there. And in the end, I think that even something as silly as Zombie's Christmas Carol could make the world a little bit of a better place. I don't know.
Speaking of a better place, John, when we were talking the other day, you were mentioning how like what Christmas has become. And so what were you trying to say with that, like with the whole Zombie Christmas Carol and what Christmas has become?
Well, I mean, in the very least, like, that's a very weighted statement then, because what is Christmas? I think it's a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So it's like, I'm not trying to say what it is, but I do think that like, as far as like our culture goes, I mean, we, with everybody, like trying to, in the very least, like the glorification of something that, is really supposed to be in its heart is coming from someplace that's maybe holy is quite ironic and hypocritical in the very least. Just the idea of like spending all this money and so so much of our culture being a commercial money making system, but I mean, at the heart of all that, I do think that like families getting together and being thankful is awesome and really great. So it's still a beautiful thing. I think that if anything,
it's getting less than that though. It seems to be getting less of sure. That type of thing.
Well, and I think that's why we need it's good to talk about that. And Zombie's Christmas Carol is kind of it's satirically talking about that in a way where it's at least bringing it to the table, and it's doing it in a fun way. It's not doing it in a way that's like rah rah rah, and like this is all bad, which is not fun. And that's a good example of why it's important if you're going to try to deal with different subjects, even as in talking about them, it's good to have fun doing that, because otherwise nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to get beat over the head and be like, oh, you guys are all you're killing the planet, which we may very well be doing, but like at the same time, it's way more fun to just, do that in a way that makes you laugh. And maybe you can take a step back and think about that.
It's a nice way of inserting a subliminal message, as I may say, like while having that laugh.
Sure. I mean, I don't know if it's subliminal or not, but I mean, everything, it's, and this is something that I think that like, however you want to take it. I mean, anything we do kind of makes waves, right? So This is something that we did, in our 20s or whatever, and, or in our late teens, even with some of these kids or whatever it is. And it's like, and we were very passionate about making this thing at the time. So, and I think that I think that does affect the world. So whether it's however you want to talk, whether it's subliminal or it still changes the landscape a little bit,
Right.
We're all co-creating this thing, and I'd rather than, not to go on getting all philosophical per se, but like, I think rather than blaming everybody else for all the things that are going on, I'd rather take the responsibility and be like, yeah, it's my fault, guys. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. Work in progress here. Work in progress. I mean, we all take a little bit. We all should be more responsible, probably, with the things that are going on. Because we're pointing our fingers. We're not taking any responsibility at that point. But I mean, that's another bigger conversation.
Yeah, but and I see. I from what you're saying though, it is nice that, or it should be one person taking that responsibility if it is their fault, but not blaming on this other specific group of people. But then I think what you're trying to say is
Everybody has a hand in it.
Everybody exactly. That is all I'm saying. And I think that like the little things that I can do, trying to be inspiring, trying to, have conversations like we're talking, we're having fun. We're talking, I don't know, we're like, even me being nicer when I go outside, or like me trying to be more positive or encouraging.
and that's what we need though. That's what we need.
All those things go a long, long way. So the more of that, the better, versus like, I can so easily get mad, and I think this film has an example of that. It's like, we are playing on that on something that's a little bit wrong in us, where we're kind of crazy, we shouldn't be going around hurting people by any means. And that's not something that I do, but I mean, we still have in us like these things that are going wrong, and we have these inner kind of like emotional, like, maybe I have like things that I can't believe this person treated me like this, or that wasn't right, and blah, blah, blah. But I can't hold all those grudges in, and none of those things, and it's like, so you got letting go that stuff and being like, well, what's helpful? What can I, and like, what can I, and I think like, and just as simple as sometimes you gotta, not just, I don't know. I guess I'm lost in my thought there, but,
we all get there some days,
but yeah, I think that you know what I mean. I mean, it's a work in progress, and the more that we can try to not get so caught up in our emotions, that can be helpful. And everybody, you're the artist, man. I just like, we all are. And it's like, I can't tell anybody else how to be, but we can try to be, maybe rather than be good or bad, we can try to be helpful, and
we're all pretty much a work in progress.
Yeah.
We're constantly growing, constantly evolving, constantly changing every day, trying to find ways to make ourselves better.
And if we think we've figured it all out, then we're not learning anymore. And then where's that going to get you? We should be,
there's always something to learn every day.
Always more.
Yeah, there's always more. There's never just one answer. There's always that alternative and everything else.
And that's a beautiful thing, because then we can, that means there's more art to be made. There's more books to be written. There's more things to be seen, and there's more things to be shared.
Yeah.
And that's what Christmas is about,
Cheers, man. Wait, cheers. So prior to Zombie's Christmas Carol, John, did you do, like, you were saying you were basically like fresh out of college and et cetera, so sure. During college and stuff, were you learning how to do filming, or was this something? Oh, yep.
So I mean, I went to film school. A lot of my stuff was really experimental, but I mean, I went to Purchase Film, so like, we were shooting and editing on film. There was a couple, and I was getting some notoriety. Like, I got a couple like scholarships based on a couple of the things I had made. I made a film called The Lonesome Earthling, which was basically about a character who is trying to figure out how his world works. And through his inner discovery, he ends up setting up like a telescope, which he ends up seeing like this big eye in the sky, because there's this scientist who's like trying to figure out how his world works. So he sees the little person in that, and there's this kind of like cool like paradox of like self-revolution. And that's something I made in the 90s, or some crap. But like, and then like I made another movie called Thing vs. Universe, which has stop motion animated characters and live action. And so I've been, and there was another film called The Pale White Heart, which was very environmental and using found footage. And there was a couple other projects, and I've been making films every year, for 20 years about. So, yeah. And what's great about having two brothers that are both artists and filmmakers is, we can all work on stuff together, and we've just continually been trying to raise the bar and try new things. And in fact, my brother is doing production design on like feature films now, and I'm not sure what their last project, or if he was doing, but one of the projects they were doing, there was a, I don't know if I can talk about it because it's like Hollywood. But anyways, in the very least, like some of they super sand our zombie blood, because they had like, they had like blood, like streams in the set, they had streams of blood just flowing in the background of like this laboratory. Which I was like, okay, yeah,
I'm on board.
And in the very least, when I was on tour with the Mathematicians at Purchase College, my alma mater, they pulled at a Halloween show, they pulled my heart out on stage, and we did the live blood on stage, which I was happy to be like, okay, well, at least we could check that one off the list, but yeah, fun stuff.
That I would feel bad for the people that had to clean up afterward. That's for sure.
I don't think it was too bad, but mostly just, colored food, food coloring and water mostly, but.
Right. But if you were using like a hose or whatever, then it would probably have gone everywhere. Right. But yeah. So that's why I'm saying, like, I kind of feel bad for whoever's got to clean it up after that. Speaking of which,
I guess I've been to enough performance art kind of shows where I'm like, that's nothing, but I'm keeping my mouth shut. You're right. What are you going to do? You got to make a mess to make art sometimes. So
speaking of which, so after all that fun stuff, especially near the end of Zombie's Christmas Carol, did anybody say anything about your streets, of how bloody they look?
Well, for one, the police actually were on our side. They actually, like, without us asking, were kind of just hanging out and watching us once in a while. So they were like sitting by, I don't know if they were like scoping us out, but I think they were just making sure that cars weren't going to go by and stuff or something, and trying to be helpful. But like, yeah, I think there was notoriety, at least. And there were also people, like neighbors, who were watching the craziness, like kids looking out the windows and stuff. And yeah, the streets were stained with red and blood for at least, that week, or whatever it was. So,
and I don't think, and just in case for the record, but do you remember how long it took to shoot all that?
It's hard to say. I mean, it was kind of like, it was actually, the majority of it, I think, was like post Christmas, which is kind of, but it was like we shot it took, the majority of it was like a couple weeks, and then I think we had to regroup and shoot another couple weeks. So it didn't take too long. And in fact, like, it was so bad, like when we were just shooting, like, it was the coldest days is when the carolers were doing their song before we did any of the blood. And when the carolers are out there singing the Christmas carols, like when the barrel comes off the truck, it was literally 20 degrees below zero. That's how cold that was. And we were like, this is when we have time to shoot it. So the girls who are in stockings and those little shoes were miserable. So, but it's like, and I'm sorry, but, and honestly, like, they were okay. I mean, they agreed to do it, and we actually bought a lot of foot warmers. We bought all the foot warmers in like all the neighboring towns, and we bought all the food coloring out from the, nobody had cupcakes that year. You know what I mean? We bought all the red and green food coloring till you could, that they had, but
that's amazing.
It was a very cold year. So, but that's the way that we couldn't wait till next year, so but I believe while all the kids were off from school, But basically we shot. So it was like we shot like that week or so, and then I think we came back and shot another week. But it's a while. It was such a long time ago. I'm not exactly sure how that worked out, but it was something like that where we shot it over a couple weeks.
Yeah, well, if you did it for like, especially with the kid were on their Christmas vacation, I think that's like depending on I forget, I don't know what it would have been like in 2004, but what did that anywhere between 2 weeks to a month off, right? For the
it's like a week or two. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but and also
Yeah.
college, like some of let me think about this. But it was also like I think it was like we planned it over Thanksgiving. So it was all very
Perfect.
like we built this the Santa Claus suit. It was my brother and Santa, Matt Houck, who put the Stephen Phelps and Matt Houck mostly, and they built the fat suit from scratch. And he did, and Andy did his own makeup and everything. So we had a great Santa Claus, and that was a big part of the production, is getting Santa to look right. And we had, and
Oh my God.
with a young guy playing Santa Claus, he could kick ass, and it was awesome. So
Yeah. I gotta say, I just love the face that Santa Claus makes when he's putting the gift under the tree, and that's all I'm gonna say, because I don't want to say too much. But yeah, that face right there.
Yeah, there's some good moments. There's some iconic moments in the film.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Santa
Oh, yeah.
definitely came outside and
Whoop some ass.
took no names and kicked some ass.
See, and that's and that's what I'm gonna, that's where my compliment is gonna come out too, John. Is it would nice to actually see something different for once, rather than a psychotic Santa Claus going on a rampage. Instead, we got Christmas carolers, and we got the Santa Claus that has come in to save the day. So it was actually nice to actually see that.
It's fun, and that's when we finally get the red and green blood, which is the Christmas. That's kind of that's where I mean, to me, that was the big gag. You know,
That would oh yeah.
It's like fireworks, and it's like I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I'm like, that's funny, you know, red and green zombie blood. You know, like that's the best. I don't know how much
best scene.
How much time do we have? Are they going to cut us off on this thing? What do we do? If we hit an hour? Is our chat going to end, or how does this work?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, if it goes out, then we did our best.
All right. Well, you know what? Real quick, just in case it does decide to cut off, John, I mean, I don't know how much more there is anyway for A Christmas Carol, except for that it is available for people to watch on your YouTube channel.
Muckraker. If you look up Muckraker Productions, on YouTube, you got to type in Muckraker Productions, but all my films will pop up and you can check stuff out. And Zombies Christmas Carol has been up there for 10 years or so. And I don't know if you want to check out any of the other stuff. This was the vinyl that we got pressed for the Lake Nowhere film, which is all original music. One side. All right, you got it too. There we go. All right. And this is great. This is actually, I don't even know if this is available anymore, but you can go to whatever, you can go to the music sites like Spotify, and they have, the score on one side of the album, and then all the kind of like rock band and, songs, and it's all original, it's all original stuff, and it's a good soundtrack. So this is like a great little horror, kind of must-have soundtrack for a low budget movie. It's got it. And then there's our movie. And this we had a hand
You look right there. That's
all right.
John's signature.
Okay, you got my signature on there. That's pretty cool. And that was an oil painting that we had done for it.
That was an oil painting.
That's
wow.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you can see it from here, but it's a pretty sweet cover. So when we're probably going to do another press of this soon. We had that on Amazon Prime for the longest time, but now you got to pay for it again. I think our contract was up, but we'll hopefully we can get that switched back over. But that was good. I mean, we did the festival circuit with that film, and it paid off. We got distribution, and that's the thing with horror films is there's a fan base, and that helps. As artists who are working to create quality content. I mean, I've made one too many art films. I mean, I'm happy with them, but maybe they don't have as big of a fan base. You gotta play your cards right. So again, like I got to at least nod my hat to horror, as carrying the torch of for art and trying some new stuff. So
All right. So for anybody real quick that John, that is looking to follow for your latest project and stuff, where can people like keep
I
up?
would, I mean, you could go to my Muck Films Instagram has like all the has a lot of my art and if you go to the link tree or whatever you can see all my films right on there. Muck Films, MuckFilms, or you go to my YouTube,
Website too?
Muckraker Productions. What is the website? Is
Muckfilm.com.
Muckfilm.com. That's where it's confusing. It's Muckfilm instead of the S. So I'm just going to confuse them now, but it's like website's Muckfilm.
Every link will be in the
Instagram
description.
Muckfilms. Instagram is Muck Films. Website is Muck Film. I guess. I don't know. I have both, but I don't have it set up right. Anyway, plug.
Anyway, John, it was a pleasure.
Always a pleasure talking to you, John. Oh, that's cool.
All right. Well,
those guys are from 616. They show up. They show up now and again.
oh, the channel 616.
Yeah.
What it is? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to come and pay you a visit in New York, John. After
Yes.
you're here.
Yes. Come to Ghost Books. Spend more money. Ha ha ha.
Oh gosh, what are you gonna have to like taunt me with this time?
Oh, I don't know. But no, just want to hang out, see you guys. That'd be great. Sounds fun. Be good.
Yeah,
And
you
always
get to
did-
meet
and,
Amara, see
And keep it.
Amara. Yeah.
Yeah, and Amara. Now you can finally meet Amara, unless you already did. I can't even remember. I don't think so. I don't think John had met our daughter yet. But
Oh, that would be great. Sounds good.
yeah. And so you said you had a Christmas Carol DVD. Are there any plans of any more of those, or is that just out of the question?
You could buy one. I have some. I still have some. And
Really?
or I could just give you one, because you guys are great. But yeah, I haven't really been selling them, and they still have like original artwork and stuff. Like I said, like
Oh,
it's
he's
cool.
sold on that.
It's pretty cool.
I'll help you out, man. Save one for me. Sign it.
Here's my mom being a good sport as usual.
That's
And here
awesome.
in our carol, on the back, which I kind of just came up, which I sing at the end of the movie, not just for it was the monster that was under my bed is now inside my daddy's head. The shadows on my wall so red paint a picture of death and dread. The joyous sound and song it led, a town upon itself had fed. The season of giving is now in peril. This is a zombie's Christmas Carol.
Ooh,
There you go.
I like that. Oh,
Bravo.
nice. Bravo.
Yep. So save a copy for Paul, sign it.
And we'll be in to grab
vault.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have one ready for you guys. So.
All right, John. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you again for your time.
Yep.
And
Always a pleasure.
we'll look forward to hopefully getting you back on for Lake Nowhere.
All right, and we'll get Ravicon, the Ravicon guys involved.
Definitely. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun, I hope. So,
Okay. Sounds good, guys.
but yeah, so everybody else listening, thank you so much. And hopefully you like our little video presentation thing. We're still trying to work out the bugs, I guess, because this is new with
Yeah.
Zoom.
You guys keep doing it. You're great. This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. And
As
you keep
always.
making your good art and films, because you know what? I got to clap to them. Speaking of which, hopefully we've got enough time, and I'm just going to ask real quick. So on your website, I was noticing that you do graphic design, illustration, DVD menus and stuff for people or something like that, right?
Is that, well, I mean, I do all kinds of different visual art. Is that, so if you're looking for something like that, you can always reach out. I'm not even sure if my website says that or not, but
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
oh, wow. Well, there you go. Well, you know what it is like I rebuilt this website here. I rebuilt this website. So actually, I don't even know what my website looks like. Okay. Well, that's all very sad. That's good. Basically, I do a little bit of everything, so it's like, I mean, I paint, I draw, I design, I direct, I produce, I animate. So, I mean, yeah, if you want, if you are interested in like hiring me for any kind of creative endeavor on feature films, art projects, or anything, feel free. You know, I am I'm a man of many trades. So thank you for the shout out at that. But you know, maybe not the best at self promotion. You know, I'm more so I'm a passionate person about art and you
Well,
know.
you're a good down to earth person, John.
Well, I
So
appreciate that.
yeah, you're very welcome. And then once again, thank you all for listening. But yeah, I just remembered that as soon as we started going on about that. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching, listening to this. And hopefully you guys learned, and we'll go check out a Zombies Christmas Carol on YouTube. All the links of John will be down in the description of the video or the audio episode below. So you can connect with John there. And that's it for me.
Yep.
Tessa, you all set?
Yep, I'm all set. Always a pleasure, John.
All
Awesome,
right.
guys. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. And
Merry-
everybody else, make sure you when you hear the carol sing, you look out your window first and make sure there is not a hazardous tank rolling down the street to turn your carolers into zombies, because otherwise it just ain't gonna be a pretty.
That's solid advice.
That is very solid
Look
advice.
before you go outside.
Yes, very much so, because otherwise green and red blood will be going everywhere, and then people will start be questioning everything. So until then, I'm Podolsky.
And I'm Tessa Baker.
Stay
Stay
scary.
scary.